George St Pierre vs. BJ Penn 2. UFC 94 took place on January 31st, 2009. Today, over 10 years later, it is still highly regarded as Greasegate, one of the most popular yet controversial conspiracies in the world of UFC that still draws the attention of many both for it and opposed to the strange speculation. The bout started out with the two fighters clinching and throwing knees. Both attempted takedowns, but the first round really consisted mostly of trading punches. As the second began, St Pierre looked dominating, as Penn struggled to even grapple or hold onto his opponent. St Pierre capitalized by drawing blood from Penn's nose. This would continue throughout the next two rounds, until BJ Penn motioned for the cage-side doctor to stop the fight. The referee waved off the contest, officially declaring St Pierre the winner. George St Pierre would continue to hold his welterweight championship belt. At the time, this may have appeared as a clean fight, just a TKO due to referee stoppage on doctor's advice. This, however, did not stop fellow fighters, fans of BJ Penn, along with the better half of fans that viewed this from striking up a unique but probable conspiracy. Did George St Pierre cheat? According to many, in between the first three rounds, one of St Pierre's cornermen, Phil Nurse, was seen applying petroleum jelly on the shoulder and the back of the so-called champ. Hence the name Greasegate. Now here's the red flag. You are allowed to apply Vaseline to a player's face, but you are not allowed to apply it anywhere else. It was clearly visible that this was being applied to a lot of places that, well, weren't his face. Think about it for a minute. This is a sport that revolves around grappling, takedowns, and a lot of friction. When you add Vaseline to this equation, one may become slippery, resulting in it being near impossible to perform any form of jiu-jitsu. Penn, along with his team and head coach, all made it publicly known that they were not satisfied with the outcome of this fight. Multiple complaints were made to the NSAC, and another claim was made by Rudy Valentino, the head coach, that there was also speculation that St Pierre had greased up in prior fights as well. But months went on. BJ Penn demanded an investigation on the whole matter. It was backed by two other fighters who have went up against St Pierre as well. The actual claim was that Mr. Pierre was unnaturally slippery. Penn wasn't asking much. The primary goal for him was that he simply wanted the result of the fight to be deemed a no contest instead of a loss. This, along with a couple fines to be handed out and St Pierre's license be revoked. But then Dana White stepped in. The president of the UFC himself was now involved in the matter. What turned many off to these claims was that Dana White did not support it. He publicly said that he had no doubt in his mind that Vaseline was not a primary factor in the outcome of UFC 94. Most of the attention in hindsight wasn't directly on George St Pierre, if you'd believe that. The attention fell on that cornerman alone. What was his name? Phil Nurse? Nurse was a trained professional. He knows where to and where to not be applying Vaseline to his fighters. It was clearly visible that he was applying it to both his shoulders and his back. So what about the consequences? St Pierre's trainer, Greg Jackson, stated that Nurse was rubbing and tapping on St Pierre's body as part of a drill to aid in his breathing techniques. Dana White, on the other hand, may have not have thought Vaseline had anything to do with the outcome of the fight, but decided to later completely contradict himself by acknowledging this and saying that he felt Phil Nurse should be reprimanded for his actions. It should be noted, as well, that George St Pierre wasn't the most vocal on this at the time. Almost guilty, he didn't bear to turn his head into the direction of this assumption for quite some time. The only thing he said on the fact of the matter was that he was innocent and had heard just the slightest rumor that this was even going on. In his moment with Sports Illustrated, he stated, "I haven't seen the fight yet, but I remember at some point something happened and the athletic commission was complaining. They used a towel to wet my back and wipe it off. I don't mind. I didn't put Vaseline on myself and I'm not a cheater." He did, however, offer BJ Penn a rematch following this. And then finally, on March 17th, 2009, the hearing began. The NSAC had a moment to confirm or wither these accusations that have gone on for months at this point. Months too long. Penn, along with his family, were present while St Pierre was not. Penn's team wanted St Pierre to be punished to the full extent. They wanted justice, and rightfully so. Greg Jackson and Phil Nurse apologized and pleaded their case. They took fault for the incident and what had happened, but firmly stated that they did in fact not knowingly cheat. The NSAC listened before finally making their announcement. George St Pierre would not be punished to any extreme. His victory would stay notorious and not be ruled a no contest. St Pierre was deemed to be an innocent man. Looking back, there are a lot of red lights and green lights with this case. It is very clear that GSP was doused in store-brand Vaseline. Just how much would it have affected the outcome though? GSP was the bigger guy, and in our personal opinion, the better fighter. Really, what do we have here? Is this a modern-day O.J. Simpson case on a much lower scale? Or is it a modern O.J. Simpson case on a much, much higher scale? Was there foul play involved? Was BJ Penn just a sore loser? Was George St Pierre really guilty? Penn is an incredible fighter, who typically was not faced with as much challenge as he faced that night. He may have looked for an scapegoat, a reason to justify just how bad he did in fact lose. This may have been hard for him to come to terms with. Both incredible fighters, greased up or not. What if the glove did fit? If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content just like this, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Every bench needs its king. Thank you. We'll see you next time.